Hello there, Lunar Squadron, and welcome back to the channel. The day has finally arrived, the day that many of us have been waiting years for. The sequel to Ghost of Tsushima has finally been revealed, and of course I am talking about Ghost of Yotei, and we have a brand new trailer to talk about and a bunch of brand new gameplay and story details thanks to various different articles that were released alongside the trailer. We're going to sit down and we're going to break it all down because this is something that we are incredibly excited about. But before we get into that discussion, if you're new to the channel, we would love to have you as always, and the way to do that, just go down below this video, hit that little subscribe button, the bell notification right on next to it. It'll notify you every single time that Andreas and I upload. And if you'd like to take the conversation about this game beyond the comment section on YouTube, make sure to head over to Twitter and follow us at Lunar Squadron, or jump into our Discord server. All of the information for that will be down below. Now, with all of that out of the way, Andreas, are you ready to talk about a game that we have been waiting years for?
Oh yeah, about time. Let's do this, guys. Leading up to yesterday's State of Play, I always thought there was maybe a chance or a possibility that the Ghost of Tsushima successor may be announced, but I honestly didn't think Sony had it in them for this State of Play, just with the timing of things. I felt like Ghost of Tsushima 2 was maybe something that they would save for the Game Awards or a showcase even later on. And to see that Sucker Punch logo pop up was just such an amazing feeling because I love Ghost of Tsushima. It is one of my favorite SIE exclusives, one of my favorite open worlds. I love the way that Sucker Punch transports you to feudal Japan, and I'm just a general fan of Sucker Punch in general, all the way back from the Sly Cooper games, through the Infamous series, and now with Ghost of Tsushima, I feel like I have this history with Sucker Punch, and seeing that logo pop up again was awesome. And just throughout this trailer, there is so much to love here. I could really break it down frame by frame, but that's not really what this video is about. It's more about all of the different news here with this game because there's so much at play. There's so many questions that I had when I saw this trailer, right down from the title of the game, Ghost of Yotei, and there's just so much interesting stuff to dig in here. So I'm excited that we're dedicating a video just to breaking everything down for everyone and talking about what we're expecting out of Ghost of Yotei from day one here.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly am so excited to be able to cover this game on the channel. This is a game that I've been looking forward to a long time, and I cannot believe that that trailer actually existed today, because it honestly felt like we were getting to a point where Ghost of Tsushima 2, or of course now officially it is Ghost of Yotei, was kind of becoming a meme, I feel like, on social media circles. Like, people were like, oh, maybe it'll be at the next Sony event, the State of Play and all of that, to the point where, like, I almost never believed it was actually going to happen. I did not expect it would even be a possibility today. And when the trailer started playing, the gears in my head kind of started spinning, and I was like, wait, like, is this Ghost? And then when that Sucker Punch logo popped, I lost it. Like, I lost my mind, started screaming. So exciting. I cannot believe that we're finally getting the successor to Ghost of Tsushima. It's one of my all-time favorite games, and I just gotta say, that trailer, stunning. It is beautiful. I cannot wait to see this game. It is built specifically for the PS5 hardware. I just cannot wait to see what Sucker Punch is able to do with this game and just take it from that next step, like we've seen with other Sony first parties on the PS5 with sequels where they take that big next step. Cannot wait to see what they do with the Ghost franchise. And where I think we should start is all of these brand new details we got from this Sony blog. I don't know if people noticed this, but we got a whole blog article dedicated to this game today.
Yeah, we did. There's a lot of great information in here. The blog article is titled Ghost of Yotei is coming in 2025. That also bears commentary here, Nick. 2025, I think we kind of expected this game to come in at 2025, but it does make me wonder, especially with games like GTA 6 slated for fall 2025, where are they going to slot in to get that advantage? Like, are they going to butt heads with GTA and also target fall 2025, or is this game coming sooner than maybe we all expected?
That is a great question, because 2025 is kind of a daunting year, isn't it, with gaming, with, of course, the expectation of GTA 6 coming in the fall of 2025. I do wonder if they'll do something similar to what they did with Ghost of Tsushima. I believe that game came in the middle of July, so perhaps we're looking at a summer release. Of course, this trailer was mostly cinematic, but it does look pretty advanced. This doesn't look like this is something that they've just started developing. It feels like they're pretty far into the development cycle of Ghost of Yotei, of course, with it slated to come out next year, and it has been 5 years by then since Ghost of Tsushima came out. You would expect them to be pretty far into it, so maybe we're looking at a summer release for this game.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I'm going to be keeping in mind here as we learn more about this game is where is this game going to fall in? And of course, let us know in the comments down below what you think on that. But to chug along here, this article is written by Andrew Goldfarb, who is Senior Communications Manager over at Sucker Punch Productions. And we get some great information kicking it off here where it says, "Today we are so happy to announce Ghost of Yotei, the latest game from Sucker Punch, and the introduction of our new hero, Atsu." That's right, guys, this game is not going to be tracking the story of Jin Sakai, the protagonist of Ghost of Tsushima. We have a brand new protagonist here, Atsu. And of course, this is with a heavy caveat of all things throughout this video. I'm not 1000% sure on pronunciation of things from Atsu, even to Yotei, and I do apologize if I'm getting any of these Japanese words or names incorrect. So just caveat up front there. Now the blog continues, "When we set out to make a new Ghost game, we wanted to maintain the core pillars established in Ghost of Tsushima, playing as a wandering warrior in feudal Japan, offering freedom to explore at your own pace, and highlighting the beauty of the world." Nick, I'm really liking that they off the bat are defining what does it mean to be a Ghost game. I think this is good in setting the expectations here because, of course, this is maybe an atypical sequel that we weren't all expecting. We were expecting Ghost of Tsushima 2, and this is setting the tone as to what should we expect to be carrying over into the next game and maybe what's staying behind. Because I think with this whole Ghost adoption here, where Ghost is what's going forward and not Jin Sakai and the story on Tsushima, I think it is important to set that expectation here.
Yeah, it really is fascinating that they're setting up an anthology series. I think, like you said, we were all expecting Ghost 2 to be the continuation of Jin Sakai's story, but instead it's becoming a more anthology series, kind of like what you see with Assassin's Creed. I think that is just a really fun and unique way to progress this franchise, and honestly opens up a lot of opportunities and potential stories that they could tell in game after game after game down the road. Like, they really have opened themselves up to the potential for a lot of games to come out of this franchise now. And this article actually touches on this innovation that Sucker Punch was going after, where they talk about, we also wanted to continue to innovate, to create something fresh but familiar. We looked beyond Jin Sakai's story and the island of Tsushima and shifted our focus to the idea of the ghost instead. At Sucker Punch, we love origin stories, and we wanted to explore what it can mean to have a new hero wearing a ghost mask and uncovering a new legend. This led us to Ghost of Yotei, a new protagonist, a new story to unfold, and a new region of Japan to explore.
And we're not just getting a new protagonist, a new story, and a new region in Japan. It looks like we're also getting a new time period entirely here. The next section of the article reads, "While we aren't diving into story specifics yet today, we can reveal that Atsu's journey takes place in 1603, more than 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. Our story is set in the land surrounding Mount Yotei, a towering peak in the heart of Izo, an area of Japan known as Hokkaido in present day. In 1603, this area was outside the rule of Japan and filled with sprawling grasslands, snowy tundras, and unexpected dangers. It's a far cry from the organized samurai clans who lived in Tsushima, and it's the setting for an original story we can't wait to tell." Nick, I think they've done something really clever here in shifting all of these different components. Like they said, there's a new protagonist here, a new story, a completely new area in Japan, and I thought that would have always been an issue if we had just kept on going with Jin's story. At some point, it's got to stop, and at some point, I think you outgrow the very tiny island of Tsushima, and you had to get somewhere closer to mainland Japan, and going to Hokkaido is a very interesting change, and not only are they going to a completely different area on Japan that has a lot bigger of an area to explore. Guys, if you just look on a map comparing Tsushima to Hokkaido, it is no comparison. Like, Hokkaido is a much larger area. And on top of that, with this time period switch, Nick, I'm very excited to learn about a new time period, because one of the things I personally loved about Ghost of Tsushima was the emphasis in teaching about the history of feudal Japan. And I feel like we're going to get a new vantage point to learn about Japan in a completely different time period. Now in 1603, which is coincidentally the first year of the Edo period, or the Tokugawa period in Japanese history, starting exactly on 1603 and running throughout 1868. It looks like this is a really interesting time where Japan as a whole is going through this periodic shift. And I can't wait to learn more about the Edo period in this game.
Yeah, Andres, I completely agree with you. I'm very excited to learn more about this time period and this location in Japan. And, one thing that I was wondering for a very long time was, how would they be able to continue the story of Jin Sakai? And I think they've taken a very smart and fun approach by jumping ahead by more than 300 years, because I just don't know what the continuation of his story was really going to be. Was it going to be the second Mongol invasion? And now we don't even have to argue about which ending of the game is canon. I like how they've completely removed that from the equation completely by just go ahead and jump 300 plus years. So we don't even have to argue about it. It's not even going to be in the conversation of this game. I think that's just really smart from Sucker Punch. Now, of course, that's really all we learn about the story of this game. They don't want to really get into specifics yet until things are more concrete, but we do learn some more about the game itself, where they say this is also Sucker Punch's first game built from the ground up for PlayStation 5, and we're excited to build on the visual foundation we've established in Ghost of Tsushima by making the world feel even more real. We have massive sightlines that let you look far across the environment, whole new skies featuring twinkling stars and auroras. Andres, I'm very excited about that. Even more believable movement from wind on grass and vegetation, and more improvements we'll share in the future. Our new setting also gives us the opportunity to introduce new mechanics, gameplay improvements, and even new weapons. So we get some information about the gameplay itself. We're going to be looking at a bigger world, a more beautiful world, a more fleshed out world. We're going to get new gameplay mechanics, gameplay improvements, and even new weapons. Now, I would like to take a moment here, and one of the things that immediately stood out to me in the trailer, Andreas, was a second katana. We will be dual wielding katanas at some point in this game, or perhaps that is the core gameplay loop of this game. And that is just so exciting, because I already for years have talked about the Ghost of Tsushima combat system is one of the best that I have ever experienced. I absolutely love it. And so they're already starting from a great foundation, and now they have years of that under their belt working with that. They have it figured out, and they're going to be able to take it to that next level. And I just think having dual wielding katanas within that combat system, the opportunities for all of the different animation sets you can have with that on PS5 exclusively, like, I am so excited for what the combat in this game could possibly be. It's going to be something truly special. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Sucker Punch is going to pop off when it comes to the combat in this game, because that is one of the notes that they hit so perfectly with Ghost of Tsushima, where all the different combat stances and the brutality of the combat animations in Ghost of Tsushima are among the top tier and upper echelon of combat systems. When I think of gameplay combat, I think of Ghost of Tsushima. So I cannot wait to see what a dev team that has had some experience together can put together here, and B, what a dev team can do with the PS5 here, because this game, like they said, is being built from the ground up on PS5. And I'm hoping that allows them to run farther and run faster. What are they going to be capable of throwing together with this game? And already from the trailer, it looks like it has that secret sauce, that special style that you expect out of a Sucker Punch title, you expect after Ghost of Tsushima. And the one thing that you would hope aligns here is that they have that style. And they talk here about the different environmental effects, the new skies, twinkling stars, auroras. Nick, the nature of Izo, or modern day Hokkaido, just looks like it is going to serve all of those things that we want out of a Ghost of Tsushima game, which is to explore feudal Japan and enjoy Japan in all of its natural beauty here.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think this game is going to be absolutely stunning, and I cannot wait to experience. Now, this blog article does close with this final paragraph where they say, our trailer today offers a glimpse into this world, but there's so much more to show, and we'll have much more to share in the months ahead, including details about Atsu's journey and the people and animals she'll meet along the way. I have a feeling, based off the trailer, we're going to have a wolf companion, which, again, opens up a lot of very exciting possibilities for the gameplay loop. Like, you could just stick a wolf on somebody. Like, that's going to be really fun if that does end up being the case. And it finishes, we are forever grateful for the success of Ghost of Tsushima, and we can't wait for you all to experience Ghost of Yotei in 2025. Now, that does close out the PlayStation blog article. However, that is not the only article we got today, Andres, as we also got a New York Times article dedicated to this game.
Yeah, we did. This New York Times article is titled Sequel to Ghost of Tsushima Expands a Fresh Sony Franchise. And this article, I think, starts off by kind of focusing on the growth of Ghost of Tsushima and how the Ghosts franchise and brand is starting to elevate to that upper echelon of PlayStation titles. It directly compares it to God of War and Horizon. And I do think that is an interesting comparison to make. New York Times is making that comparison because Ghost of Tsushima has these plans to elevate into live action as well. But more interestingly, for the purposes of our discussion, we got some interesting new gameplay details from this article, and I really want to touch on those first and foremost.
I completely agree. There are two specific paragraphs that I would like to highlight from this article. This first one, where it starts with, without going into detail, the developer said Ghost of Yotei was a story of, quote, underdog vengeance that followed Atsu as she moved through the natural landscape, including sprawling grasslands and snowy tundras. They said players would have greater control over her story than in the previous game. I found the ending of this paragraph, Andres, to be really interesting, that players will have greater control over the story, that our decisions are going to have a bigger impact here while we're in this open world. We're not going to just have a more linear story within this open world. We're actually going to be able to manipulate and change the story. At least that is what it sounds like the dev team over at Sucker Punch is attempting to accomplish, which that could be really exciting. A lot of possibilities there.
Yeah, this is really interesting for me because I never thought that they would take Ghosts into this direction. Again, just thinking of expectations here. When we were expecting a Ghost of Tsushima sequel, one of the things that Ghost of Tsushima did so well was craft a story that I really cared about. And it does make me wonder here, how much control are we getting over the story of this game? How RPG is this getting here? And how deep is that rabbit hole going to go? Honestly, I don't know if I would expect that level of control out of Sucker Punch. I do think that they are amazing storytellers and would want to tell their story in this game. But man, it's such an early stage that I'm really interested to see how they're doing this. But whatever they do, I hope it's well made. That is my number one concern here. If you're going to give more player control, make it meaningful player control where player choice doesn't sacrifice the quality of the story.
Yeah, I think my expectation for this, and not to spoil the end of the story for Ghost of Tsushima for those of you who have not yet played that game, I'm expecting more choices similar to what we are given at the very end of that game, where both choices are beautifully crafted within the narrative of the story, and they both make a ton of sense, and it kind of just forces the player to make that ethical decision. I expect more of those choices to have more of an impact on the game for the entirety of the game versus just near the end of the game where you make that final decision. So I'm expecting more choice in that variety.
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting point, and I do wonder if that is where they got their initial taste of this system and thought, hey, maybe we should build a game around that kind of a thing. But to move along with this article, it reads, one challenge that comes with making an open world game is the repetitive nature of doing the same thing over again, says Connell, and that's Jason Connell, creative director on Ghost of Tsushima. Players would be able to master firearms in addition to melee weapons like the katana. Quote, we wanted to balance against that and find unique experiences. Nick, the one thing that really popped out at me here is that confirmation that we will be able to master firearms. We saw what looked like somewhat of a musket or like an old school rifle in the trailer, and my interest was definitely piqued at that point. But now reading that you're able to master firearms, I'm just wondering if the same team that worked on the different combat stances in Ghost of Tsushima is now getting their hands on a firearm. What cool shit are they going to be able to come up with in this game with firearms? I am very intrigued here.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I wonder if it will be, you'll have rifles and perhaps you could have pistols and like you could dual wield pistols while also having a katana. Like, again, a lot of really fun possibilities here with the time jump ahead 300 years. And I do wonder if the firearms will replace the bow and arrow in this game from Ghost of Tsushima, or will we also be able to master bow and arrows? Like, again, just so much potential here for what this game could possibly do, just given where they have decided to set this game. And this is a paragraph that really stood out to me from this article, perhaps the paragraph that stood out to me the most, just because it kind of provides us insight into the mindset of Sucker Punch. And you guys know we love just getting into the motivations behind these decisions. And they talk about one of the greatest challenges that will come from making these open world games is that you just want to avoid the repetitive nature of doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that is one thing that really sets open world games apart, is when things become repetitive, they get boring very fast, and you're just going to put that game down. You're not going to want to touch it. You'll finish the story, and then you'll never play it again. But if you have a very engaging open world and a lot of variety within that open world, you're going to come back to it over and over and over again beyond just the core story of the game. You're going to want to do all the side content and the side missions and explore and just get immersed in the world. So it is really fun to see that that is something that Sucker Punch is tackling head on. And again, we see it there in that final quote where he says we wanted to balance against that and find unique experiences. I love that. I want the unique experiences. I don't want to just do the same thing over and over and over again, seeing, what we had in Starfield at some moments where great, huge open world, but after doing the exact same temple run to get your power thing for the 20th time and it's the exact same thing, like I was kind of over it. So I'm just excited to see that that is at least the intent of Sucker Punch, is to avoid experiences like that where everything just feels alive and engaged and unique. Again, just cannot wait to learn more about Ghost of Yotei. This was a surprise announcement for us at the State of Play, but a very welcome one to say the least. So guys, let us know your thoughts down below. Are you excited for Ghost of Yotei? Are you as excited as we are? Are you disappointed that it's not Ghost of Tsushima 2? Do you wish we were going in that direction? Or do you like the brand new, fresh direction? Jump ahead 300 years, we have a new protagonist, and we're turning this franchise into an anthology series. I think that opens up a lot of exciting possibilities down the road. So just let us know all of your thoughts about this brand new Sony first-party exclusive down below in the comments. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for us for this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.